Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're coming to you from our 26th episode, which 52 weeks in a year, one episode a week. This makes this our 6-month episode.
Yeah, we didn't skip anything, right?
No,
So yeah.
no.
And we've had more content than once a week.
Yes.
Yes, we've
But this is
occasionally
the
released some
numbered-
bonus ones.
And this is, we'll just go with the...
We
this-
release a numbered episode every week.
Yeah, so we'll just go that this number 26 episode is our 26th one, and then...
Yep.
Okay, sure.
And so when we hit 52, that'll be our 1 year.
Okay.
Whatever you want to do with your counting.
Yeah.
So in addition to this being our 26th / 6-month episode, it is also our last episode of 2016.
As long as you get it out before the new year.
I'll get it out before the new year.
I mean, yeah.
We'll see.
Don't worry, listeners. I value you guys so much.
Why are you using air quotes?
I'm not. I value. No, we're recording this a little bit outside of our normal recording schedule because I'm going to be on vacation all next week, and so we're going to still release on Wednesday, but that just means I'm going to have to edit on my vacation
You can edit the day before.
because I'm dedicated like that.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I got a lot of other things I got to get done to go on vacation.
I mean, you just throw some shit in a bag and you're good.
There's more to it than that.
2 bags.
All you need is a stick and a handkerchief.
Yeah.
You have
What is
yourself
that? What is that called?
That's called a bindle.
Bindle, yeah.
I did not know that.
That's the hobo sack.
It's the hobo sack.
That's what I would have
It's
called
the
it.
hobo way.
Yep.
You never actually see a hobo using a bindle, though.
Bill, it seems very inefficient.
It's a lot harder to find sticks these days.
Yeah, like why would you carry things like that?
Yeah.
Are you wading across rivers that you need to hold all of your belongings above water?
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
You don't know the hobo life.
I mean, I've thrown away multiple suitcases that you drag behind you because cats have peed in them. So if someone took that. That would be better than that, I would say.
You have a lot of cats, to be fair.
Yeah.
Your roommates have a lot of
Yes.
cats.
I don't think it was my cats that peed in them, but
Okay.
How many cats do you personally
One.
have? Okay, because
And
I
they
thought
have,
you
like,
just said I don't think it was my cat.
I know.
And there's what, another 9?
There's 4.
4?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 5 total?
Yes.
That's a lot of cats.
That's how math works.
I'm not always very sure.
I know you're drinking 10% beer too, so.
One of my roommates moved out, so we've gone from 2 cats to 1 cat.
Okay.
And then the only reason there's that 1 cat is because the previous roommate didn't take their cat
Oh, okay.
and left their cat.
Nice.
Yep. Real
Shameful.
nice.
So moving on from Jeff's depressing story about his roommate abandoning a cat, the reason I'm drinking a 10% beer is because Zach was gracious enough to bring some really nice fancy beers over for recording today in celebration of a monster day of downloads.
Yeah.
We more than doubled our previous high
Yes,
of
we did.
downloads. And I believe that appropriate credit must go to Patrick and Brandon over at What Did You Play This Week podcast, because they had us on their Meet the Gamer segment, their special conversation episodes they do. We recorded that back at the end of November,
Yeah.
and it was released today.
Last night, technically.
Technically late last night.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, depending on where you live, late last night. If you live in California, it was released at like 6 o'clock. Like you got home from work and it was there. But yeah, so that came out. Did either of you guys listen to it?
Yes.
Nope.
You don't listen to anything we do, though,
I
so.
hate the sound of my voice.
That's fair.
Also, I've been at work for the last 36 hours straight.
You know, I listen to podcasts at work.
I do not believe he could.
Nope. That can't happen.
Can you have your Bluetooth earpiece in at work?
I mean, I probably could, but then I would not be effective.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I also listened to it though. So, what did you think, Zach? Like, it came out really well. I thought.
Yeah, we didn't sound like assholes. So
No,
that's good.
we kept the swearing to a minimum, which I feel is actually going to backfire because, like, their podcast, the What Did You Play This Week podcast, they don't swear over there. They're very family friendly. So I feel like some of his listeners, or their listeners rather, they'll hear the conversation and be like, oh, those Mile High Game Guys sound like nice, upstanding individuals. They'll come over here and they'll download an episode and hear a bunch of motherfucks and sons of bitches and
It says explicit
it.
right on the download.
That it does.
If they don't want it, they don't have to get it.
now that is true. We are marked explicit.
Yeah,
So
they know what they're getting in for.
They might not know the depth.
Yeah, it's true. It's not like bold, like explicit.
It's just like, oh, there's an E. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
A red E.
it's E for fuck.
The the massive download day in the wake of that releasing also served to give us our highest downloaded month yet.
Yeah, and we still have a week and change to go.
And another episode.
Yeah.
So we're gonna blow it out of the water.
It's all
It means,
downhill.
it means you were just going to be super disappointed in January.
January is gonna be a letdown.
It's all downhill from here.
Let's hope we get any sort of retention, but who knows?
Yeah. Hopefully some of our new listeners
Yeah.
like us.
As long as
like
we
our
beg
shtick.
hard enough,
Yeah,
they'll
Please-
stay.
Please love us.
Please love me.
I'm too proud to beg.
No
I'll bribe. No, I'll bribe.
Oh yeah, I'm not too proud to bribe people.
Yeah, I got pennies that I don't need.
Yeah. Just flicking them at him from across the room.
Oh. All right. So enough of that nonsense. We're a little off our swords. Like I said, we're recording not on our normal schedule. So I'm recording instead of at the beginning of a work week, at the end of a work week, which means I am fucking exhausted. So expect me to be a little. And Zach gave me a 10% beer. So this could really spiral out.
I mean,
of control.
it gave me and Jeff 9% beers. So, and I've already drank a lot more of mine than you have of
Well,
yours.
yours is also only a 12 ounce, and mine's a 16. So,
I have to find the energy to put liquids inside my body.
Jeff, are you going to survive the holiday season here? Or is your job going to actually use your life force to keep the store running?
Part of the job. Yes.
Also, yes.
Feed me to the God Emperor to make him live another day.
To Target.
Either way, they'll just prop my corpse up against a wall. And
Will they complain you're not doing enough then still?
Yes. Yeah, they probably will.
But anyway, to try and get this show on the road, back on the tracks.
Yep.
Is there a name for a train that's just never on the tracks?
Like it's trying to go, but it's just like on dirt. So
yeah. Like
can't get any traction.
when they were first making
Isn't that a train wreck?
Yeah.
when they were first making trains and they tried just like dirt paths, we decided to go that way instead of like rails.
Yeah.
We occasionally come to a normal railroad track and we just cross over it and
Yes.
continue.
Yeah.
back
You're
down
Like,
that
yeah,
dirt
that would
road.
be a good idea.
Well, it's usually.
But we're already on this path, so
It's really hard to turn this train. when it
it's
gets
the path
going.
of least resistance, and we just keep falling downhill. That's what it is.
Yes.
That's the only way we keep going.
You know what's
is
at the bo-
gravity.
you know what's at the bottom of the hill?
Depression.
Rock bottom. we're barreling towards it.
Maybe a cool explosion or something.
I won't look at it.
You're not a cool guy. You're gonna get it.
Cool guys don't look at explosions, so I'm not going to look at it.
I know. I'm saying you're not a cool guy.
I know, and I'm telling you you're wrong.
You're gonna flinch.
you'd be like, Jesus.
Anyway,
So this being both the last episode of 2016 and hopefully not ever, but
I mean, we could all be dead. We don't know. So
the last episode of 2016 and being that it is our 6-month episode, this is going to be kind of like a nice little look back. We're
Yeah.
going to look back and discuss some of the games that came out in 2016. We're going to maybe rate some of them. Like we're going to...
I mean, we have categories of things.
We've got categories, and we all used the same categories. Things like best component, best artwork, most disappointing, best mechanic. Some things like that. Then we're gonna have best new to us game, because not all of the games that we played in 2016 came out in 2016. And then we're gonna ultimately, all of this is going to lead up to our list of the top 3 games of 2016. I've got my list. Zach's got his. Jeff has his.
They're all Blood Bowl.
Blood Bowl, Team Manager, and Blood Bowl the new edition.
No, just all
Blood Bowl.
just
All right.
no specifics.
You just wrote it in really big font, so it just covered one word. This is Blood Bowl, but
I wrote them all down, and then I just wrote Blood Bowl across the whole page.
And in between all of that, we are also going to take a little bit of time to discuss, kind of how the year has been for us as podcasters. How doing this whole thing has affected us, how we have or haven't changed our view on games, and
Yeah.
media, and each other. Pretty sure Zach and Jeff both hate me significantly more now than they did 6 months ago.
I don't think that.
It's just more crystallized.
I don't think I could hate you harder.
It's metastasized. It's like cancer.
Our hatred is like cancer.
It's aggressive and malignant. Yeah. I pay attention when Megan talks about cancer
I'm
stuff.
sure she.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure.
She's an oncology nurse. So
Yeah.
I know words like malignant.
I know how to read a graph.
I watched House. I know it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of where this episode is going to go. I think to start off, we are going to go ahead and give you some categories and some games that fit in those categories.
One would hope.
And we'll,
You sound so enthusiastic when you say that.
like I said, I'm out of sorts. I'm not used to
Right.
recording at the end of
Okay.
the week instead
You're
of the
just like,
beginning
yeah,
of the week.
we got categories and there's games that fit on the categories.
It doesn't matter when we record. It's always in the middle of my week.
Yeah.
It never ends.
It is the week that doesn't end.
Yeah.
Goes on and on, my friend.
All right, you want to start?
Yeah, so let's start off here with the best art.
Okay.
So for me, there's been a couple games. There's been several games that have come out this year that have great art. I've really been impressed with some of the artwork coming out. We recently have started getting Innis to the table. Innis has some great art.
Apparently, it's pronounced Inish.
Innish, that's right, because it's Irish,
Scottish.
Gaelic.
Yeah.
Celtic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Innish, yes, has fantastic art, but that's not my top. For me, I think I thought about this for a while, and like I said, there's a lot that have great art, but ultimately, especially because I got to see the art connoisseurs edition of this,
Yeah.
it's Scythe.
Yeah.
Scythe has the best art of any game I've seen in a long time.
Can we just spoil it now? And
Is it-
all of
is-
us-
Okay,
Is it
so
unanimous?
I'll go. I'll say mine. So I was originally trying to think. I was like, I did like Inish, but I was just like, I can't not give it to Scythe.
I also had Inish, and then I put Scythe.
So those are both, I guess, kind of a almost consensus 1 and 2 for
Yeah.
best art this year. Like for Scythe, the board art is really really nice. Especially my favorite thing is the little encounter cards.
Yeah.
Like the background art, and there's so much little detail, and love it.
So Jeff, I had a question. Since I know you in fact backed the game because of the art,
Yes.
do you know if any of it was created for the game?
Almost all of it.
Okay, because I wasn't sure because I know he had some of that stuff beforehand, so I wasn't sure.
When they announced the Kickstarter, I had noticed some stuff that was from that artist, Jakub Rzalski. That is the artist of Scythe. Jamie Stegmaier had actually licensed his art to make the game. There was very little that actually carried over, and almost everything from Scythe was completely new.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure because if all of that existed beforehand, because I was sort of thinking the others as well, but all of that art existed before the game.
Anything that had to do with like specific characters and stuff, that's all completely new.
Okay.
There was some a little bit of that, but nothing that specific.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's why I ended up eventually going to Scythe because I was just like, as long as a good amount of it was made for the game itself.
I mean, the fact that it had an art connoisseurs edition, I think really says a lot about how they approached the artwork in that game. It was clearly a focus, and it shows.
The art book is real nice. I think they have been able to release that separately, and you might be able to find that in existence somewhere.
Gotcha.
But you're not getting my fucking numbered box out of my cold, dead hands.
Not even out of your cold dead hands. Your cold dead hands are just going to hold it forever.
I've equipped it with a suicide button.
Oh, okay,
If I die, so does that copy of the game.
gotcha.
Just a little poof.
Yep.
It just spray paints Munchkin art all over it.
Yes.
No one's going to want it then.
Oh God. Oh. Is there a category for worst art?
No. Well, there is. Or it wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be that one.
No, it wouldn't be that one.
I get something for consistency.
Yes.
On a similar note, I think we can skip not skip. We will go on a similar note to artwork components. Best components for 2016.
Yes.
Zach, do you want to start?
Oh, yeah. And if anyone answers other than this, they are wrong, and that is mechs versus minions.
Jeff, are you wrong?
Don't say Scythe, because a lot of that was deluxe
very
stuff.
special. I had 3 in mind. Star Wars Rebellion,
Okay.
for its unique and vast amount of miniatures. Scythe was up there, but Mechs versus Minions, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a great value at twice the price.
Yep.
So
Like, the components are pretty much one of the only things I actually liked about
yeah,
Mechs vs.
no, I know,
Minions.
yeah.
Yeah, so I also agree. Mechs vs. Minions,
Yeah.
hands down, best components. This is going to be an interesting list.
Ooh, okay.
We're going to start deviating here. I guarantee it.
I was listening to the Dice Towers Best and Worst of 2016, and this was the only category where everyone was just like, yeah, Mechs versus Minions, Mechs versus Minions, Mechs versus Minions.
Yep.
So,
You know, and that's why I did these 2 first, because I figured if there were ones where we were going to agree, it was going to be
Yes.
art for Scythe and components for Mechs vs. Minions. And even like things like the board, like the glossy spots for the oil and the ruins and like the different textures, the wash on all the minions, the paint on the mechs, all of it.
The
is
inserts.
the inserts. It's all very good. It's very high quality components.
Yep.
Which is the only thing that I like about that game.
And I mean, and obviously they had the money to burn to be able to do it, and they did it wholesale from them, so that's how they were able to sell it for $80. But even if it was like $150, you'd be like, okay, I can see where the money goes. So the fact that you're able to get it for that low of a price,
Yeah. Any other board game publisher out there right now,
Couldn't
if
do
they
it.
tried to do this, it would cost it would be prohibitively
Yep.
expensive. You
Yeah.
couldn't do it. So,
yeah. When their revenue themselves is more twice as much,
as the entire industry,
yeah, they had the money to be like, yeah, we can do that. So
turns out PC games make a lot of money sometimes.
shocking.
especially free-to-play ones.
Yes.
Yeah, funny how that is.
And I think we can all agree, not great components, Terraforming Mars.
Yeah,
That one wasn't going to win this category.
no, it was not.
Or art, really. Both of those.
Or art.
Yeah.
A lot of people really hate on the art, especially because it has the
Inconsistent.
Inconsistent,
I'm
but
fine with it.
it's not something that noticed me. But I'm not big into the art of a game anyway. Like
That-
I notice when it's great, but if it's bad, I don't care.
Photo pictures versus like artistic rendition pictures, kind of put that Pets card next to one of those other cards. It's like, yeah, that's just a picture of a dog.
That's what I like about it. I love that card.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to best new mechanic of 2016. Jeff, you haven't started one off yet. How about you start this one?
My favorite new mechanic, which is sort of hard to describe as a singular mechanic, is from Captain Sonar, and that is the submarine rolls. I don't know how best to describe it, but that is a mechanic that I have not played with before, especially in a real-time agility game, and it's hard to pin one down that I can say, because it doesn't work unless it's all together.
Have you? Okay. So have you played Space Alert?
Almost.
Okay.
So no. I've listened to the soundtrack.
Or not Space Alert.
Space Cadets?
Space Cadets.
Yeah, I've played Space Cadets.
Well, so I see what he's saying.
Are you
though.
talking-
It's
okay.
not the team play, not the simultaneous
Okay.
turn team play.
No.
It's these specific things that you're doing in your different roles as the submarine operators.
I mean, if I had to pin one down as my favorite, it would be the Navigator.
Okay. All right.
The listening and trying to track the other person, I
Yeah.
agree. That's a really
Okay.
cool mechanic.
Then yeah,
but,
that's fine.
but it all sort of falls apart if you don't have the captain and the
Yeah,
XO.
okay.
I mean, well, fuck the XO and the engineer in there. But yeah, that was my favorite new thing to do.
Gotcha.
Right on. Zach, for you?
So I remember when we were talking about this, I was trying to say I didn't want to name the same game twice.
Correct.
And unfortunately, I will be. Because I couldn't think of anything that I liked more than this. And
Okay.
that's why I was trying to think of something other than Scythe. So
Oh, I know what it is.
for me, it is the fact that when you produce resources, they are on the board and they have an actual physical presence. And so it's an engine building game for getting those resources. But the fact that those resources are available for someone else to take, it just brought a lot of urgency and, agency and all that stuff to it. Because, like Jeff, he just destroyed, Paul had like one or two guys defending it. And Jeff's like, oh, I'm just going to go over here and take all that.
Those are mine now.
Yeah, those are mine now. Just the fact that you can do that, and then he could just be like, I'm just going to take that away.
And now it's all the way over
now
here.
it's all the way over there. And so you can't just hoard resources until you can then,
Well, you can. You just have to defend now.
well, yes, and it's hard. It'll be hard to do that.
Yes.
So that is one of the things I like the best about Scythe was that.
Okay. And so this is first one. All three of us differ.
Yes.
For me, my favorite new mechanism was card crafting from Mystic Vale.
Yeah.
Overall, Mystic Vale I loved Mystic Vale at first. I really enjoyed it. It has since kind of petered off a little bit for me. It's gotten kind of samey. Like playing each game kind of feels the same. And I feel like it's got a runaway leader problem. But that card crafting mechanic, building your cards and being able to have each game play like your deck's a little bit different based on how you build your cards, I think is really cool. And that's definitely a mechanism that I hope to see some other games pick up and run with in the future.
Yeah, for me, it's like Dominion, or like Dominion itself. It's like it's a fine game, but I really love it when people took the deck building aspect and put it into other games with other mechanics as well.
Correct. And so, now it's possible I haven't got a chance to play the new expansion. I've actually heard that it doesn't really change much.
It's just more.
Yeah.
But I mean,
future expansions,
yes.
I'm hoping either maybe Mystic Vale can really do something with it, or more likely another game will come along and use card crafting.
I think right now the thing that's the worst thing about it is just there aren't enough cards, because you just sort of see all the cards. If you start getting more, if you get more, even if you have expansions that just add more cards, like that don't add any hugely game-changing mechanics, if you have more cards, then that seems like that'll just make the game more interesting as well. Because you won't be like, oh, I'm going to wait for that one that has the growth on it because I know it'll be coming up soon.
So those are our picks for best new mechanic of 2016, or mechanism, if that's your preference.
Did we want to recap that entire category real quick?
Sure, yeah, since we were all a little bit different on this one.
So we've got me with Captain Sonar. I would say Navigator, if I pinned it down. Zach with Scythe and resources on the board.
Yeah, actual physical resources.
Yes.
So,
and Adrian with card crafting from Mystic Vale.
That's correct. And so moving on to the next category for our lists. And this one, you could say that it's, the best of list, but this isn't a category where you want to be the best at, because this is most disappointing game of 2016. So I'll start with this one. This one was kind of tricky for me. There were some games that I was debating, I haven't actually played it, but I wasn't at all interested in Pandemic Cthulhu. I know that would be very disappointing for me if I played it, but at the same time, if you don't expect much, can you really be disappointed?
Right.
So I was kind of playing around with that.
I would say at the bare minimum, it's something you should have played,
and that's the problem. And it is that's not my choice. So that was one of the things I struggled with. This one is, for the most part, this year, games have either met or exceeded my expectations. There's not been many that were even at most of them exceeded, and so this one I finally ultimately what I came up with. I'll quit beating around the bush here. I went with Cry Havoc. When Jeff first mentioned Cry Havoc to us on the show a little bit before Gen Con, and all the different systems that were in it, I was like, I don't know if that's going to end up being any good. And then I got to see it at Gen Con, and it looked cool. And then I just kept hearing great things over and over and over again. And man, that game just never even clicked for me. Scythe, I didn't care for as much. I think it's an okay game. But it's one where I felt like I should have liked it more than I did. Cry Havoc, I played it and it was no, this is not for me. So, most disappointing game of 2016 for me, Cry Havoc.
What about you, Jeff?
It was hard. It was a hard road for me to choose what my most disappointing game was. Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu was on there, and I was like, I like Cthulhu, but didn't quite pull together.
Yeah.
Scythe was on there just because it didn't click as much. I mean, that game is so highly rated. I want to play it more, see if I can make myself love it.
Yeah. I've some people it's taken a couple times to do it too.
But my number one most disappointing game has to be Legendary Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I had such high hopes for loving that game because I love Big Trouble in Little China so much, and I wish it was Legendary Encounters, Big Trouble in Little China.
Was it mainly that?
That's mainly what it is, because I love Legendary Encounters, and I apparently don't love Legendary.
Yeah, had you played any of the Legendary games?
I had not.
Okay. Yeah.
I had only played Legendary Predator before that.
Gotcha. And that's Legendary Encounters as well.
Yes.
So.
So...
Yeah, those are two different systems, even though it's one is a semi co-op where a cooperative, but someone's a winner.
Yeah,
and it's more random. Or the encounters tend to tell more stories. Although I haven't heard great things about the Firefly one either. So.
Yeah,
is that an encounters?
Yes,
one?
it is.
Okay. It is. Yeah. So yeah, I had higher hopes and they did not quite meet.
Yep.
It's not a bad game, just disappointing.
Yeah. So for me, it's not necessarily that I don't like this game. It's just I was expecting something different.
Okay.
And so that is the Manhattan Project Chain Reaction.
Oh, yeah.
So when I backed it, and I was just I guess I just didn't look enough at the descriptions and all that stuff. But it sounded like, it's Manhattan Project, but as a card game, so it should go a bit faster. But when I got it, it made because Manhattan Project is a medium to medium heavy Euro game with a lot of interesting mechanics and how it works. But this one was just you draw 5 cards and you just sort of play them how you can. And so it took all the strategy out of the game. And even though I prefer tactics over strategy, I still like that you're trying to work towards something and you're like, I will do this turn and try and do that next turn. But this one is just literally do whatever you can this turn and then that's about it. And it was just I guess you didn't have any control on what you were getting on it. So there wasn't any way to plan on getting, if you needed uranium, if you just didn't get it, it was uranium. You're like, there's nothing I can do about it. So that would be, like I said, it's a fun, once I got, the first play was really disappointing.
Yeah.
The second one, I was like, okay, I know what I'm in for now. And I'm like, okay, it's better. But it was just that it's not Manhattan Project, the card game. It's a card game that has Manhattan Project in it.
Yeah.
Elements.
I could see that. I remember when you brought that over and we played a couple games of it, and it definitely
we were both like, that was it?
That's unfortunate.
Womp womp.
Yep.
Okay, so those are the 4 main categories we're going to do. And Zach, being the overachiever that he is, he came up with some additional categories of his own and actually named some awards that he is going to give out.
He gets extra credit.
So so Zach wants extra credit. Okay. So shower him with praise for, I'm sure, what are going to be hilarious.
I hope they are. I spent 15 whole minutes on these. So. All right, so the most of these are 2016. This first one is not. And this is just the Dead Inside Award. And this is the best game I played that makes me feel absolutely nothing. And that's Isle of Skye. But I can, like I said, it's a great. I can tell that it's a good game, but playing it, I don't get anything from it.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
That cuts me, but okay.
No, I know. That's what I said. It's the best game. Yeah. So my next one is, would you please shut up? I have something to say, and that's the best social game, and that was Secret Hitler.
Okay.
So I really like I don't know how often I would play the Resistance after playing that game, because you, as a good guy in the Resistance, you're like, I always have to play good. But even if you're a good guy or if you're a liberal,
liberal.
And Secret Hitler is sometimes like, I have to play fascist, and you have to play around that. So
okay.
I like that.
That one almost won best components for me.
Right, yeah.
But Max vs. Minions.
No, yeah. The next one is just, oh God, everything has gone wrong so fast. And that's just the favorite real-time game. And that was for Captain Sonar.
Okay.
The next one was, now I can finally play out my own fan fiction. And that was for the best licensed game. And that was for Star Wars Rebellion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a licensed game.
Yeah. And it was really fun, and it was great making our own versions of the original trilogy.
Yeah,
and stuff like
being
that.
pulled in the direction of the original trilogy, but being like, I can't have the Rebel base be on Hoth.
Yeah, but they won't expect it to be on the Hoth. Yeah.
No.
Next is beating an undead Shoggoth, and that was an unnecessary zombie/Cthulhu version of the game, and that was for Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
So that was the only one that Zach told us in advance.
Yeah.
And he told me that he was talking about I came up with these award names and things, and I was like, well, I don't know, okay, whatever. I was like, what? Give me an example. And then he tells me that one, and it's like, damn it, that's actually really good.
Yeah.
So
I just had it as beating a dead horse, and I was trying to think of, because it was originally just going to be the unnecessary Cthulhu version, and I was like, zombie can fit something. Undead, okay, and what's the good thing? Shoggoth instead. There we go. But yeah, sort of like what you said, Jeff, it didn't click that well. It didn't feel like Pandemic in a good way. No. Whereas Pandemic Iberia was this feels like Pandemic, but it feels different enough, but it still is a great game.
And I want to say Reign of Cthulhu was not Matt Leacock.
Yeah, I don't think he was involved in that one. The next one is a place for everything, and everything is in its place, and that's just the best insert. And that's going to go to Mechs versus Minions, but I also want to get a shout out to Quadropolis.
Yeah.
I thought that insert was really good.
Yeah, if you were sticking hard to your not putting in the same game twice, then Quadropolis would be a great
Yeah,
choice.
that's I originally was going to put it Quadropolis, but I was like, oh, but Mechs versus Minions, that one, yeah. So
Solid insert.
yeah, and then the next one is, or the last one is, yo, Dawg, I heard you like to game, so I put a game in your game so you can game while you game. And that was the best meta game, and that was Millennium Blades, because it's a game about being a TCG game player. So
Have you actually gotten to play that yet?
not the correct way, but I still love the idea.
Okay.
And I enjoyed playing it. We were over our heads because we were like, oh, we're gamers. We can do the full version without knowing how this game plays at all. Nope, not at all. So
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's not a game for me.
yeah.
I was the theme. Like I don't care about trading or collectible card games to begin with. Like I tried to get into Netrunner, and that fell flat hard. And so like the theme, and then it plays out too much like what you're trying to do, and
Yeah.
and then I was distracted and had other things going on. I was brewing beer, man.
Yeah.
I was making alcohol, but don't think that one's for me.
Yep. So those are the ones I made up.
So I love that, and I think that in the future we should find some kind of way to make those something where like we have some way to get nominations, and then like so we can be like, the 4 nominees for beating an undead Shoggoth, and the winner is
a decent amount of those were like, I want to make something. I want to find something for Millennium Blades. So they're sort of tailored to the game.
Yeah.
So
the beating an undead Shoggoth, that has to be a yearly thing, because there's always at least one really shitty like, oh, this is zombies now, or oh, this is Cthulhu now.
At least 1 dozen.
yeah.
Of each.
Yeah.
So. All right. So
Cthulhu realms.
Congratulations, Zach. You get all of your extra credit and bonus points and whatever the hell else people want to give you.
You will be mailed your gold stars within the next 90 days.
That's good.
So moving on from that, you may have recalled I did say we were going to do the top 3 games of 2016, but we're sadistic, so we're going to make you wait for it.
Everyone loves that.
Yep. Yeah. This is just a part 1. Part 2 will come at in June of next year.
Sometime in 2018. We'll hear about 2016's Game of the Year.
No, we won't make you wait too long, but we did want to spend a little bit of time here kind of talking about 2016 overall, not necessarily as a year, because there's a lot of other stuff that went on in 2016 that I don't think falls under our purview.
We can't talk about all the celebrities that died.
No, we can't talk about, politics.
I mean, we can. We just don't want to.
No.
Religion, all those things that you're not supposed to discuss. But
Pope seems all right.
But what we can talk about, and what we will talk about,
cool, I guess,
is board gaming. So since 2012, when I started the game night here, I would say that
wasn't it at the beginning of 2013?
You're right, because we have our 4-year at the beginning of 2017.
Yeah, I remember in the last episode you said it was in the conversation.
In the conversation,
January of 2012. I didn't catch it there, but I was just like, he said the wrong year.
Yeah. So since 2013.
Yeah.
So since 2013.
Sorry, I just wanted to correct you.
Where I got into board gaming. 2016, where I got into podcasting about board gaming, has been by far the most influential year for me. Coming along as a gamer, and it is really, I feel like for a while, in 2013 I got into gaming, and then for a while I kind of coasted with it. I played a lot of games across a lot of different things.
1 or 2 games a month, if that.
Yeah. And then now I'm getting way too many games way too often.
Yeah.
But more than that, I've reached a point where I'm really starting to distill, I think, who I am as a gamer and what I look for in games, both mechanics and gameplay wise, like an actual what do I want to get out of a game I play, but then also quite a bit about why I play games.
Yeah.
And what about gaming?
You play games because you hate yourself.
Yeah, because I lose and I hate losing. No, and so it's been very formulative, and very formative.
Yeah,
that's the one. Whatever. I'm more than halfway through this
I'm on my
Monster
second
beer.
one, so
I'm fine.
yeah. No, I'm fine still, but yeah.
No, but it's been very formative, and doing this podcast has definitely made a big difference. So we want to spend a little bit of time of just kind of bullshitting about that. This will be a little bit free form, might get a little rambly.
Hopefully it will.
One can hope.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
why don't one of you guys talk for a little bit?
Okay. Jeff? You're taking a big breath, so I figured you're just going to... Oh, yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
That's going to play real well.
Well, I had a longer period of playing board games before 2013 and
Yeah.
before podcasting, but I have certainly played a lot more board games since I moved back to Denver about 2 years ago. But I don't know if my tastes have really changed. I guess I've learned to love deck builders more.
Right.
Because I love deck builders.
And you've got more deck builders than you're... Yeah.
And because I loved things like Magic the Gathering, and I hate collectible card games. And that gives me the best of, I don't know, collectible card gaming without the collecting. I like co-op games because I lose at everything else. Except Power Grid last night.
Yeah, you want a Power Grid.
Yep. Power Grid, the card game.
And lately, Blood Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know. I lucked out of that last one. My reign's going to end pretty soon here. The end of my season's real rough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've got Ant twice and some other strong players coming up. I'm glad Blood Bowl's back. I can get that miniature wargaming in a reasonable amount of time and expenditure instead of the multi-$100 armies and stuff. But that almost also makes me want to go home and get all my Games Workshop stuff from Chicago and bring it back.
You should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone have room for 8 cardboard boxes full of Games Workshop product?
What size cardboard? Are you talking about like deck size cardboard boxes?
I'm talking like a 2x2 cube.
I don't know. Maybe. Probably not. I don't know. My key has a decent amount of space, but...
Yeah, we just store it in your car.
Yeah.
Like I did with all my Warhammer armies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I pay more attention to like hyped games and stuff now. That's really all it is.
Yeah. Has anything changed specifically from the 6 months we started doing this?
I pay attention to game news.
Okay. All right.
Instead of just like, I used to care like once a year when Gen Con rolled around.
Right.
And now I kind of care other times because games come out more than Gen Con.
They do,
Even
surprisingly.
all the good ones come out at Gen Con.
Yeah.
And everyone buys them before I can buy them.
Which, speaking of, I mean, I've been thinking about trying to get a VIG pass, but they're so expensive.
Oh, God,
Do you
no.
have $500 to spend on a pass?
No. I'll just wait. I'm fine with waiting for
I'm
games
also
to come
fine
out.
with waiting until that one game comes out this August, and you're like, shit.
I can't even think of one. I can't think of a game that I would want that bad.
That you would have to spend an extra $400
Yeah, no.
just to be able to buy it before anyone else buys it.
Yeah.
You can always resell it.
I even knowing Terraforming Mars, I still would not have paid that much for it.
Terraforming Mars 2.
See, if I... the problem is if I spend $500 on a pass, I wouldn't be able to afford enough games.
Exactly.
But if I could, in an ideal world, which obviously this isn't, but whatever, hypotheticals. If I could have been a VIG gamer and snapped up Terraforming Mars, Feast Road, which I don't think was even at Gen Con. Actually, it wasn't even at Gen Con. But never mind.
You would have grabbed Seafall too, because we were.
I would have grabbed Seafall. I probably would have grabbed Great Western Trail. I definitely would have got Dragon and Flagon. We still haven't acquired that.
I didn't know that was on our list of.
I mean, I really do want to play it at some point, but
I think that. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna actually like Dragon and Flagon. I was really interested in it, but Mechs vs. Minions kind of affected my view of programming games, and so I don't know if I'll actually like Dragon and Flagon.
yeah, we'll see.
It is competitive, which I think is the one thing, because I love Robo Rally, but I mean that's kind of one of the things like we were talking about.
I just need to infect all of you with wargaming.
Zach and I have wargamed.
Yeah.
What have you wargamed?
Heroescape.
I mean, that's my
not-
That
first.
counts.
It's a
like-
very light version of it.
It's like the Little Tykes version of wargaming.
It counts. I count it. I would actually be interested in doing some wargaming.
Downside, I haven't played an edition in like 7 years.
I would be fine if I I don't see any need for me to play that.
It's only like 3 to 4 hours a game. And once it starts going downhill, it's just a 2-hour slog until you actually lose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you're just gonna have a shitload of dice that you're gonna have to roll.
So many dice. Imperial Guard all the way. Assault 20.
See, and this is what kills me about wargaming. Like both years at Gen Con, like I walked by some of these wargaming tables and stuff, or like some of the big con games that people are playing, and it looks so awesome.
Because you're just passing by.
Because I'm just passing by and I'm looking at it for 10 minutes and not 5 hours.
Get your rulers out. Measure that distance. You're off by a quarter inch. Quarter inch is quarter inch, man. You can't charge on a quarter inch. I'm not going to give you a quarter inch. I'm sorry, your sources can't charge my cavalry. Just so you know, you're totally fucked next turn.
Yeah.
Because you're a quarter inch away from me.
Yep. So I know for me, I've definitely been paying more attention to, like you said, news in general. I'm looking more at Kickstarters, but I haven't really changed how I back the Kickstarters, I guess.
I think I've done less now.
I've done about the same. I might have done a little more, but that's just because I've been looking more, I guess.
Yeah.
I've been trying to, especially since we started playing a lot more new games, I've been trying to research them more before I started buying them. But and for me, it just I would say the general thing is, since the 6 months we've played, besides Terraforming Mars, I've played games a lot less in a row, like repeat plays.
Yeah.
It seems like we play it 2 or 3 times and then we just move on to the next one 2 or 3 times, if that, and then move on to the next one.
Yeah, I'd say that was one of the things I expected that I did not expect. If I had come up with a list of things that I thought would be difficult about becoming board game podcasters, it wouldn't have been that I play less games. Like I thought I would actually, I thought it would give me an excuse to play more games. Because I do. I mean, you're like we
play the games you want to play more frequently.
Yeah, but
it doesn't.
Like I haven't played Terraforming Mars since we reviewed it. I really, really want to, but I always feel like I need to be playing the next game so we can review it, or like.
Oh, we should play it this weekend.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to play this weekend. I'm going to find a game store in Seattle where I can go and pay $5, and Megan and I are going to play 2-player Seafall. Not Seafall.
Seafall.
Terraforming Mars.
That 2-player legacy game.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Find a game store that has one.
Yeah.
There's got to be a game store that's got fucking Terraforming
I think
Mars.
the only reason that game hasn't shot up into like the top 5 is because no one could fucking buy it.
I mean, it's a 24. So
Yeah.
it definitely has started shooting up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would agree with that.
But no, anyway, I didn't expect my plays of specific games to be as limited. I think that's probably a better way to say it.
Well, because I know you've been wanting to play Le Havre more and
Oh my God, yeah.
Copper Country more.
Le Havre.
Le Havre.
Well,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to play Copper
Le Havre.
Country more.
Le
'Cause
Havre.
I just have never gotten that to the table reliably. When I first got it, I forced it at game night a couple times, and it didn't go well, and I just have never gotten it back.
I think part of it is just the the theme just doesn't seem interesting.
Yeah. Unless you happen to be from the UP.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you're really into mining.
Copper Country reminds me a lot of Scythe. Maybe it's just because there's hexes.
Sure.
I don't know. Without the combat, there's a lot of meeples and area control and
No, and you build different kinds of buildings that like process your resources differently, and yeah. I'm really interested to see. Did you guys notice that?
Yes.
What did you play? They're sending that around to get some reviews out there. I'm curious what other people think of it, because I've never heard anyone else even mention that game. I was surprised that Patrick knew it.
Right.
When I first was because they asked like, "What's your underrated game?" And I was like, "Dude, it's definitely Copper Country." And yeah, Patrick was like, "Oh yeah, I actually know that game."
You said you started listening to a lot more podcasts because we started doing them, right?
And that's the other thing. Thanks for getting us back on the track, Zach.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
Yep, keeping everything on the dirt path.
Yes. Yeah, we were starting to veer onto some sort of metal thing that it was just like it was going to take us in completely different direction. So I was like, no, dirt path is going that way. We got to go, but get back on there.
But no, so when before we started recording, before we had the equipment, before we were even sure we were going to do this, like that's when I started really listening to board gaming podcasts and podcasts in general. I'm not normally a big listener to podcasts, but I wanted to kind of, get a feel for what was out there if I was going to do this,
Right.
And that has also drastically influenced me. I guarantee you that a big part of the push that has got me to really distill my love of heavy Euros and stuff is a combination of, one, being more critical about what I do and don't like about the games I play. Like in the past, be like, oh, I didn't really enjoy this play, and I just chalk it up like it was a bad play. Not like, well, maybe this thing about this game is why I didn't like it. So that's one aspect of it. But the other one, Heavy Cardboard, man, that podcast is fantastic. And their love for heavy games has definitely bled over to me. Like,
but they're not. They don't like Feast for Odin.
I cannot wait for that episode because I really want to hear why. Like, I can understand. Like, there's definitely, I could see flaws with that game, but I'm very curious what their specific reasoning is, especially because it seems like for that group, like not just Edward and Amanda, but like Edward was tweeting like their group, like their main people they play with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't like it either.
None of them like it. So I'm very curious about that. I'm also really curious to hear their actual review of Terraforming Mars, which is delayed because unfortunately Amanda's sick.
I saw that, yeah.
But because the first podcast I listened to when I started listening to board gaming podcasts was Shut Up and Sit Down. And I still love Shut Up and Sit Down. Don't get me wrong. One of the things I really do like about them is how enthusiastic they get about games. But sometimes, like, I feel like they get really enthusiastic about a game and they like talk about it a whole lot and review it, and then it's something where, if they came back to it like a few months later, they'd be like, actually, that was rubbish, and we just got really excited about it.
Are you calling them Hype the podcast?
Yes, essentially.
I mean,
I think a little bit.
Maybe on the podcast, their videos, there have been a lot of them where they're just like they'll talk up all the great parts, and then they even have the patented shut up and the mid review turnaround.
Yeah,
where then they say all the bad things they don't like about it, and then eventually, like they'll usually recommend stuff, but they've definitely done a decent amount where they just didn't like it at all.
Yeah,
so. And although recently they've started going a lot more into the social, like if it's like sexist or something, like,
yeah,
I don't know how to describe that as, but you know what I'm talking about.
More like, socially aware type game.
Yeah, social awareness.
They were pretty critical of Conan.
Yes,
like it seems like it's a good.
They still
game.
like the game.
It's a good game, but a lot of the stuff that's in the game is problematic.
Yes,
I hope they don't ever see Kingdom Death Monster.
They played it, and they definitely. It was a 27-minute review talking about it, and they're basically like, in a way, they're sort of saying like, this isn't for us. Like the people that like this sort of thing, they'll love this game. Because now watching that review, I was like, I really want to play that once just to see. I don't want to own it, but I really want to play it.
Sometimes you really just need to punch a lion right in the balls.
Yes, exactly. Just punch those balls off. Yep. There's literally a card about punching the lion's dick off. Is that what you were referring to?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I don't even want to play that game once.
I know you don't. The thematic person in me just goes, oh my god, because there's cards for everything, and I'm just like, oh, I want to know.
You thought you were going to get that critical? Well, the lion was just tricking you into thinking you were going to get that critical.
You thought you were going to punch it in the dick? Nope, sorry.
It bit your dick. I don't know.
Probably.
Don't be gross.
But anyway, to go back to what I was saying there about getting into these different podcasts, like, and the same thing like Secret Cabal, like they were one of the other ones I started listening to early on, and I really like the general feel, especially like the early parts of the episode, like that they're friends hanging out, like talking about board games, and like their passion for board games really comes through. And that's one of the things that I've liked about all the podcasts I've listened to. And that's what ultimately, like, because I like Shut Up and Sit Down still a lot. I like Secret Cabal. I like Heavy Cardboard. I like What Did You Play This Week? And the things that all of those have in common, they're all very different shows that approach it very differently. But the thing that I enjoy is, even if I don't like the same games as some of these people, their passion for board gaming comes through. And like, and they're all even like Heavy Cardboard and Secret Cabal and Shut Up and Sit Down that are like, big names in the industry. they're still just everyday dudes and dudettes who like to play games. And man, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know for me, there have definitely been some more podcasts that I've started listening to, but the only reason is because they're offshoots of the increase in the actual videos that I watch now.
Okay.
Because before, I would sometimes watch one review of a game and be like, oh, okay, I'll watch the Dice Tower review this game, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll get it or something like that. But now, like John Gets Games, I started watching him. I really like that. I really like him, and he also does like full playthroughs as well. And I really enjoy that because then like that's what made me go like, oh yes, I really want Tiny Epic Quest, or I'm gonna enjoy Great Western Trail or Vast and all those. Rado runs through. I started watching more of his stuff and his podcast, which I don't know if you would like at all because it's almost 3 hours and it's usually just him talking to you. So,
I don't know.
I only have room for 1 3-hour podcast.
Yeah. When I get caught up, because like I'm still getting caught up on a lot of these podcasts, that's something I'd be interested in checking out because I don't have time usually, and especially the way I listen to podcasts, I don't have time for videos. Like, you watch a fair amount of videos at work, right, Zach?
I have them playing while I'm doing my work because usually I can keep one eye on that and then also one eye on the screen.
Yeah, so I can't do that, like, because I don't have a computer in front of me.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
If I'm gonna watch a video, I have to have my phone out, like watching the video.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So I don't watch a lot of videos. I've watched a few of Rado's. Really, where I watch Rado is like when he actually like some Kickstarter's out, and they're like, "Oh, Rado covered our Kickstarter."
Yeah,
like that was one of the things that heavily influenced me to back Mintworks.
Right.
And I actually really like Rado's style. I like that train of consciousness.
Yeah, have you ever watched any of his stuff, Jeff?
Negative.
I don't know if you would like it or not because it's literally him vomiting out his brain of all of the like. So the reason why he's doing it is to be like to show you all the different types of decisions that you can make in a game. But it's you because he almost plays exclusively 2-player games or games that can do 2 players,
which also really appeals to me,
right?
Because I try and game with Megan a lot.
Yeah, but he'll like, all right, so I can do this, so I could do this and do this, or I could do this and this, or I could do this because
I think you've explained this before.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
yeah,
I like 2-player games,
right?
Competitive, asymmetrical.
I also started watching this year, No Pun Included, which is a lot like Shut Up and Sit Down's videos too.
I've heard that.
Yeah, in tone, like they still do their own things, and I appreciate both of them. And he also just started a new podcast with John Gets Game too, which I enjoyed too. And also, just hearing British voices is always better than American voices.
I love British like podcasters and reviewers. Yeah. It's so satisfying.
Yeah. Most of my new podcasts that I listen to come from the video. The video people that I used to watch. They started their own podcast. Okay, then it'll translate well for me. So that's the increase in. And also, it's one of the better ways for us because we don't have any news contacts or anything like that. To be like,
no, we do not. We are definitely not insiders.
Yes,
we are now. I think officially we could call ourselves Board Game Media, but we are not insiders. Not by a long shot.
Officially, I guess.
I mean,
we've been doing.
We can. We
can call ourselves whatever.
We're not popular ones, but yeah. So yeah, I would say. Overall for this year, an increase in that awareness and just more recreational just watching of that stuff. So
one other thing that's kind of changed for me, and I'm curious how you feel about this, Zach, and then I'm curious. Okay. And then I'm curious because I think there'll be two.
Fuck you, Jeff. That's what he's
entirely two different sides of this because of our backgrounds that we've discussed before. But so for me, I want to go to so many more cons. Like, now all I want to do is go to cons and, like, meet up with all these, like, especially since we're active on Twitter and I follow more podcasts and things. And, like, although I've only met personally 2 people from a podcast, and that was Edward and Amanda from Heavy Cardboard, I want to meet all these people. I want to get to meet Phil and Brandon. Like, I've listened to them on their podcasts. Like, I know kind of what they like in games and what they don't like, and they seem like cool people. And same thing, like our friend Jared got to meet, was it Paul?
No, Quinns.
when he was in London.
He got to be destroyed in Netrunner by Quinns.
By Quinns.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And he said Quinns was like the nicest dude.
Oh,
He said it was an incredibly pleasant experience getting thrashed in Netrunner by him.
He poured gasoline on him and burst him into flames.
And so and especially with BGG Con just like wrapped up, a month or so ago. Seeing all the Twitter stuff and hearing all these people talk about it and like how it was like getting together at summer camp and seeing all their old friends and all this, and man, I want to do that.
Networking.
So I'm curious because Zach, this year Gen Con was like your first time at any big con.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious what your perspective is coming from somebody who doesn't do a lot of cons. And then this is where I said and then from the counterpoint, Jeff, you've done Gen Con for a decade.
Yep.
I would say for me, I definitely want to go to more of the local ones, at the very least. And then maybe...
Which there are two of?
Genghis Khan and Conclave of Gamers are like the two bigger ones around here. And then, obviously, I want to go back to Gen Con again. And then maybe one other one, too. But I don't... One, my wallet cannot support going to any more than that. And then two, at least for me, like a lot of the times... when going to conventions, it's usually just to play with my friends. Usually, so going to a bunch of different ones. I don't feel like going. I don't feel like going to all of them now, like you do. That's for sure.
Oh man, I want to go to all of them.
I've not really been to a lot of small ones. I haven't been to Conclave or Genghis Khan or. I mean, the only other kind of other cons I've been to are like certain Comic Cons, like Chicago Comic Con,
right?
Wizard World. Games Day, which is the Games Workshop convention.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's fun. I like the big stuff though. I want to go to Essen. I want to go to Gen Con. I want to go to those two.
See, and it's funny, so when I was talking about that, you kind of quipped there, networking.
But no, yeah, absolutely.
Well, no.
I want to shake hands.
Yes.
Well, so that's the thing though, so I find that already my desire to go to Gen Con is reduced because I feel like Gen Con, and I want to go to Essen just because, especially as a Euro gamer, I feel like Essen is kind of mecca for Euro gamers. But I've heard the same thing with Essen and Gen Con. They're more industry events where you're doing networking, you're doing interviews, you're doing all this. Whereas Origins and BGG Con, I've heard are you're just meeting up with people that are fun to play games with.
Right.
And that's what I want to do. It's a way less a networking thing and more these seem like cool people that I want to play games with. We've got a great gaming group here in Denver, and I don't want to disparage what we have here. I'm super looking forward to our 4-year anniversary here in January. We're going to spend a whole day playing board games with all of my friends. That's going to be awesome.
You might be able to get 3 whole Euro games.
3 whole Euro games. I'm going to play Le Havre. I'm going to play Agricola. And then I'm going to play fucking Feast for Odin. And it's going to be Uwe Rosenberg Day. And that's it.
Sounds gross.
No, that's not at all what I'm going to do.
Caverna will have no place in his game list.
I do want to play Caverna more, but I'm not going to do it on our anniversary.
Well, you're not going to play Agricola over Caverna, are you?
Yeah. I'm all about those occupations, homie. I'm not going to play Agricola at the anniversary either. I'm probably not going to. I'll play Le Havre, maybe. But anyway, no, my desire to go to all these cons is way less about the networking or promoting the podcast. I want to do that stuff. I think that we have a good show here. I want people to listen to it. I want people to like it. I don't want to be doing this for no reason besides hearing my own voice. Unlike Jeff, I don't mind the sound of my voice.
I got over mine quick. The first 3 or 4 episodes, I was like, ugh, I hate my laugh. I hate when I go, I got over it.
Yeah.
Just force yourself for 12 hours and you'll be fine.
I just don't have time to listen to another podcast.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But so it's
also I listened to it to make sure that Adrian didn't fuck up something like he did once.
Which you saved my ass that one time. Holy shit. Anyway, so those are all things that I do care about. I care about the networking and promoting and all of that. But really, I board game because I really like socially gaming, playing with people. I grew up. Pardon me. I had 2 younger brothers, and we had a bunch of friends in the neighborhood. And some of my best memories are 4-player split screening video games. even when I was really into video games, I was all about like multiplayer video games where you all played on the same console on the same TV. Like, it was about getting together with my friends to play games. And even back then, like, I've always just been a really competitive person. I had 2 brothers. I feel like almost anybody who grew up with just a bunch of siblings were all kind of the same age, and like, I don't know, maybe not. We are all competitive, me and both my brothers. But those are my favorite memories is playing games, whether they're video games or whatnot. And that's still what I love about board gaming. I like the depth that they provide and everything, but it's the socialness. It's getting together with other like-minded people and having some fun, man. That's what does it for me. So
that's our year in review. half a year in review.
Yeah. I think it's just one problem is that because we're in Denver, it's like it has to be a trip to go to a lot of those other ones.
Yep.
So it's like you got to do it a couple of times because you can't be like we'll just go to Texas for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where like some areas like I'm going to start going to Geek Ways to the west.
Right, because you have family in St. Louis, so
it's a long drive, but it's not that long. Or like there's that. I'm trying to blank on the name of the con, but I've been listening to Board Game Blitz. There's a con in Vegas that they're all talking about going to.
Yeah, and there's one in Salt Lake City.
Mm-hmm. So I want to go to stuff like that.
I mean, it's like
close,
the Dice Tower just did a Dice Tower cruise.
God, oh my, yeah.
And they're doing one next year. And technically, there's a Board Game Geek cruise too, but that one is a lot more expensive.
I think Greg went on that.
Yes, Greg and his brother.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
No,
Kyle.
That's cool.
They went on the Dice Tower cruise, and
I'd consider looking into that because I think it was like $500, and it's like
not bad for a cruise.
It's not bad for a cruise.
for a 4-day cruise, and that's all your lodging and all that stuff too. So yeah,
it's a nice vacation.
Yeah,
they said that terraforming Mars was like always checked out.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like it was definitely one of the more. They said that even Great Western Trail. They said they couldn't hardly get. I don't think they even got to play Great Western Trail. They got to see it a bunch, but they couldn't hardly get it because it was always checked out.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
All right. Well, I think that we've rambled enough about it.
Are you sure? That didn't sound like rambling. We were on topic.
Do you guys have any final kind of thoughts on?
I'm looking forward to next year, the entire year. So
yeah,
and just to see how different, like how much we'll grow in this, and then also, I don't know, just going with these other things with being a podcaster in mind. So
yeah, I kind of want to do a live recording at the anniversary, but at the same time, I kind of just want to.
Yeah, I just want to play. I just want to play.
That's one thing that I do feel. Although I love talking about board games, and I don't think I'll ever get tired of talking about board games, I miss just having the entire days where I just played.
Yeah. Well, that's what's funny is that from Tom Bass and all them, they've said when going to conventions, there's like very few conventions do they just get to play games because it's always about running events or doing interviews and all that stuff. And so there's just like one or two where like we don't do anything, we just want to actually play games. And so it's like every time you're like, yeah, we should do live recordings and all that stuff. And then I'm like, I'd rather just play a game or do something else.
The main reason that I always want to do live recordings, that's always in the back of my brain, and we're nowhere near popular enough, but some of my favorite episodes of Shut Up and Sit Down are their live.
That's because they have a room full of people. You're not. It's not. It's a totally different thing.
No, I still want it. It seems so fun.
I'm sure it is, but yeah.
Have our own panel.
Yeah, we're 6 months away from that, man. Don't worry about it.
It's June next year.
Yeah, Gen Con 50, get ready. Mile High Game guys are going to be just the fucking hotness.
Ugh. you're tainting that already dirty word.
Did we all throw up in our mouths just now?
Yes.
Because I know I did.
Yeah. I taste self-promotion in the back of my throat.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've drawn our listeners on long enough at this point. Shall we finish up here with some tops? Top list of 2016?
Congratulations to everyone that made it this far without hanging themselves with their shoelaces.
Yes.
Dude, thank you. If you've put up with this shit for 6 months or this episode for the hour-ish that it's been going on, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah,
every time I feel like I see a new person starting to listen, I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself?
Not me. I'm like, hell yeah, somebody else likes to hear me.
No. Not
No,
you. It's
no.
not you.
I wonder how many people are listening to us ironically.
All those people live in Portland or something.
Maybe in Saskatchewan, in Canada.
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan, that's the word I was
man.
looking.
Real
Yep.
big downloads in Saskatchewan today.
I wonder if they just have like a lot of Canadian listeners.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It could also be maybe, I don't know. That's one particularly favorited VPN or something like that.
Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Why would anyone VPN to Canada?
No one would expect it.
Canadian Netflix? Like,
I mean, there is a difference.
there is.
Like, I think Archer season 7's already on there. So.
Oh, okay. Now I can see it.
So do we want to get to our list?
Yes, let's,
No.
please do.
No.
We're
Let's
doing
please
the
do.
old game one first, right?
Sure.
So,
So
what is the official title of this category?
It's not new, but new to me.
I like Best Old Game of 2016.
That also works too.
Yeah.
see, but I feel like
Because I feel, so best new old game. There you go.
sure.
Because
Because it's got to be a game that like you just experienced for the first time
yes.
this year. Like I could say that
Yes. A game that did not release in 2016 that you
played for
this.
the first time.
for the first time.
Yes.
That's where I was like, it's not new, but it's new to me.
Yeah.
Because that's what the whole saying goes. Whereas best old game of 2016 makes it
Could
seem
be like, I played Catan this year, and man, I fucking loved Catan. I've been
Yeah.
playing it for 5 years, but this year was a great year for Catan.
If I hadn't played Catan,
I mean, don't get me wrong.
specific expansion or something,
I
and
always
really
fucking
liked
loved
it.
Catan.
Yeah.
but-
Anyway, yeah. So
All right, so I'm going to start this one because, I'm going to do my 3 and 2 because I was the only one who actually, I've got several. First, I'm going to throw an honorable mention: Imperial Settlers.
is that not even 2 or 3?
It's not.
Now we're
Sorry, guys. I'm going to throw an honorable mention to Imperial Settlers. That is rapidly becoming one of my favorite games of all time. I've been
a
enjoying
couple
it.
year ago. That thing stormed.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we picked it up this year at Gen Con. Megan and I were just walking around. We'd done the Pandemic, and it ate up so much time. And I felt like I'd spent no time in the vendor hall, and I'd been kind of complaining to Megan about it the night before. She was like, all right, well, tomorrow, let's just do long, nice walk through the vendor hall. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. And so we're walking through. That beer opening was not noticeable at all.
No, it was that it didn't overflow like all those other ones used to. Like they did.
Oh, gotcha. But so she's like, yeah, well, let's do that then. Let's walk through. And so we really pushed hard to leave the place we were staying early enough to get to Gen Con early, and we're walking through the vendor hall. And
So I was laying on a couch, dehydrated from sweating to death. the night
One
earlier.
great thing is we got a much closer location
Yes.
this year. 1.5 miles away. So
yeah, it's gonna be
someone could
awesome.
just be like, fuck it, I'm just going to walk.
We can just fucking jog. there.
Or Uber, because it's
Uber,
like,
yeah.
$5
because
Uber.
I'm
at
not
least.
gonna walk with my 10-pound bag of games.
Yeah, that's also one other thing is I'm not going to bring any games.
I'm gonna bring way less.
Maybe one game.
Yep.
But yeah.
Anyway, so we were walking through the vendor hall,
Sorry.
and we came around the corner by the Portal Games booth, and she saw Imperial Settlers, and I don't know what it was about it that kind of caught her eye, but she kind of looked at it and was like, "Oh, this is cool." And we walked around for a bit, and she was, "Let's go back. I think I want to pick Imperial Settlers up." And so she went. So she bought it. Imperial Settlers is her game. I'm just getting to play it a lot while she's in Seattle, but that's my honorable mention for best new to me. Number 3 on my list, because I made a top 3 new to me games. Number 3, I went up back a little right after Thanksgiving, and I played some games with Heavy Cardboard, and that was great, and I had a lot of fun. After all that was done, though, I was the last person to leave because Edward was nice enough to sit there and introduce me to my first ever Age of Steam game.
Choo choo.
I've never played a full-on train game, and they were willing to sit there and deal with a complete train noob and teach me a new map that neither him nor Matt had played before. And
Got it right that time.
and it was great.
Age of Steam, real good.
Yeah, so Age of Steam is my number 3 on New to Me 2016.
Number 2.
Number 2, Concordia. I feel like for some reason that game has gotten super hot lately.
Yeah.
It's-
Is it?
it's
Was the
showing up.
expansion released this year?
I don't think so.
The salsa?
I mean, I didn't look it up in time for this show, but because that hadn't crossed my mind.
Because you're not
but
prepared.
whatever.
Got it.
But no, it's been showing up everywhere. Manny's got it. Paul's got it. And it's
Two whole
I
people
really
everywhere.
Like it. Yeah. I've been hearing about it everywhere. In our group, 2 people have it. God, you're a terrible person, Zach. But those are my number 3 and number 2. But now, not to bogart things too much. Zach, what's your number 1? What's your new to me?
That would be Stockpile. It came out in 2015.
Fuck, that was a good one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Once again, this was one of the ones that I
felt like we played that like way over a year ago.
Nope. I got it. I got the expansion this year, and that's when I got the game too.
Shit.
And that's definitely moving up on my top 10. And
Absolutely.
that also, the Continuing Corruption is also my favorite expansion of the year as well. So,
Yeah, no, Stockpile's fantastic.
even if it only added those dice. Those dice are enough to be like, oh, this is a great one. But it added a lot more new characters, and it added bonds, and you can make it a lot deeper game now, which I loved. So,
Didn't feel like bloat.
yes.
No.
Yeah.
Jeff, what's your new to me?
Twilight Struggle.
Yeah, that's a great game.
Yeah.
That game was number 1 on BGG for a long time for a good reason.
I had been wanting to play that game since the heyday of its crowning number 1 achievement for years at a time, I think. And then I just never did. And then I finally did. And then almost won. Almost won as Russia.
Yeah, holy
on my
shit.
first game. I was 3 points away.
I'd have
until
been
you lost.
so
until I
mad.
lost it like 10 to US or something like that. But
Yeah. US rolls hard in that third era.
it's fucking...
So what's your number 1 then,
My
Adrian?
number 1, I picked this game up over a year ago. It might have been a year and a half ago when one of the local FLGS kind of places closed, Bonnie Bray Hobby Shop. They are way South Broadway. I had hardly ever heard about them until they were closing. And then a bunch of people were sharing stuff on Facebook about, oh, they're closing, things are going on sale, they got a bunch of board games. I went down there, and I was walking along their board game shelf, and it was like one of the last 3 days they were open, and they were picked over. You could tell that they were picked over. And they had a copy of Le Havre on sale for like $20. And I was like, Le Havre. And this was like, I knew Uwe, but I wasn't like, oh my God, Uwe at this point. And I pulled it up, and I was like, man, it's really highly rated on BGG. Like, all right, sweet. Yeah, $20, why not? And I bought it, and it sat on my shelf for a fucking year until I met Paul.
Oh, that's right.
And Paul was like, dude, Le Havre, we got to play Le Havre. And me and him played it with Megan, the 3 of us, and now that has got to be my number 1 game that I always want to play. I will play Le Havre at a drop of a fucking hat if I've got 3 people and 3 hours.
I was for some reason I thought you had played it last year, so that's why it wasn't in my mind. I was thinking you were going to go with Isle of Skye.
No, because I definitely played Isle of Skye, I'm pretty sure, last year. I'm pretty sure I remember last year's late in the year staying up all night playing that with my brother out at my grandparents' house.
Oh, okay.
It might, if it was early this year, so it fell far enough behind. But that felt, I don't know. Le Havre is, especially because Le Havre's a 2008 game that I'm just getting to in 2016, and
2005
damn,
on Twilight Struggle, by the way.
Damn, I've been missing. Well, okay, Age of Steam 2002, Concordia, 2014, but yeah, no, Le Havre is my number 1 best, not new, but new to me. Holy shit, that's a good game. And that brings us, I believe, to the main thing. What I assume you're all here for.
Whoever's left is
Whoever's still here, you've got to be here because you want to hear what our top 3
You're dying.
games.
I just imagine someone jolting awake suddenly. Are they at the top 3 yet? I have a beard now.
So let's do this one the way we did the top 10 back in the day.
Yep.
Well, and the top 10 mechanics. We'll all do all of our number 3s, all of our number 2s, all of our number 1s.
Should we do them in the same order?
No.
We'll do the
We'll shuffle it up. Make sure everyone's real confused at who's going first.
yes.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
I just did my number 1 for new games.
Okay.
so-
You just want to say your last one is number 1. That's why you want to do it.
No.
All right, I'll go then because you're
all right, Zach, what's your number 3?
whiny. My number 3 is the Networks. I really like that game.
It's a good game.
Yeah, I finally got to play it at Gen Con. I played it at least 4 or 5 times since, and every time I greatly enjoy it, whether or not I win. It's just all trying to make what goofy ass shit.
Yep.
On those TV shows, and I can't wait to try the expansion because I really liked it when we added the on the air expansion to it. When we started playing with that Firefly water bug or whatever it's called.
Yes.
Yeah. It made a lot of changes to the game, and I was like, oh, I'm really enjoying this. So yeah.
All right. Well, I'll go second because so for me, my number 1 and my number 2 were no brainers. And then there was 4 or 5 games that I was kind of torn between for my number 3. And I was looking through BGG a little bit before we started this episode. And I'm thumbing through there and I was like, wait, that game's 2016? Oh, that's definitely my number 3. And it's fucking Networks.
That's what I figured.
Shit.
I figured that's going to be as soon as you're like, oh, that came out. And I was like, yeah, it was probably that one.
It was Networks. That's my number 3, man. All the same reasons. I love the ridiculous artwork. I love the puns.
I thought about putting that for best art, but because it was on my top 3, I was like, I'm not going to include those games on any of the other ones. So,
and
spoilers, I haven't mentioned the other 2 games yet. So,
fair enough.
And Scythe has better art, anyways.
Yeah, it does by a long shot. But
But I also really love that art.
The art's unique, and the best thing about the art for Networks is it fits the general kind of attitude that Networks is putting out there. So Networks is my number 3 best game of 2016. Jeff, what's yours?
Feast for Odin came into the top 3. Barely. Networks was pretty good too. There were some other games.
Got anything else you want to say about Feast for Odin, or just it's 3 and it barely made it
I'm sure we're going to talk about it later.
And it's going to come up later.
All right.
I mean...
All right.
I'm guessing we are.
Yeah.
Well, so let's go ahead. I'll start number 2.
Okay.
Feast for Odin.
/ shock. Yeah.
Holy shit. We talked earlier, how there's some podcasts don't care for it. Yeah, I don't know if we talked about that on that show or if that was pre-show at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It all blends together.
Yeah, it does. So Heavy Cardboard, I'm really curious why they don't like it. Rolling Dice and Taking Names don't care for it. They're selling their copy.
I'm guessing fiddliness.
That is one I can totally see. It is a pain to go from one token that's orange to one token that's red to one that's green to one that's blue that are all the same shape and are progressions. And there's a lot of that. And especially you mess up hand in your things and all of a sudden you're like, well, shit, did I have 3 orange and a red? Did I have an orange and 2? So it's very fiddly.
And then maybe the openness too.
Yep. And both of them, well, actually, I don't think Heavy Cardboard's actually said it, but Rolling Dice and Taking Names said, holy shit, this game makes me want to play
Fields of Arl.
And that is one of the few Uves I haven't played.
2-player only.
Exactly, which is what's turned me away from it overall.
I'm really surprised you haven't picked it up, though.
It's actually, Megan's dad always asks for a list of board games I want, and they were all Uwe with one exception. And so I do want to get Arl, and I'm curious after I play Fields for Arl, that might be one where I'm like, now I understand why they prefer Arl to Feast, but for right now, Feast is my number 2.
It's a game that you can have 3 different strategies going at the same time, and that's a different 3 strategies than someone else runs. And at no time are you ever sealed off from choices unless you get into 4-player, kind of, but still barely. I like a game with a lot of options, and this game has them.
It's true.
I saw somebody on Twitter today, there's a big discussion about it that we kind of got involved in, and there was one person who said, there's not a good reason to play 4 over 3, and I think I have to agree.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think those extra 2 slots where you can mimic somebody's action. For one, my favorite player count for Feast for Odin is 1, which for a game that's number 2 on my list, I don't know if that says a lot, but part of that is the denial that you cannot under any circumstance take the same action 2 turns in a row. And I feel like having 4 players, those 2 spots where you can repeat an action that's been previously taken, hurts that denial factor that when we reviewed it, that was one of the things you talked about, Zach, that you're worried about the denial. At 3, I think you have enough people placing actions and you can't duplicate any, And so you really can feel the denial there. At 2, it's no different than 3, but there's
Way
12
less.
less pawns. And then at 1, you physically cannot take the same. Like, you can't do it. Like, the mechanic they have for alternating using 2 sets of pawns.
Gotcha.
So 1 and 3 players are where I look to play that game.
That makes
2
sense.
and 4, there's better games.
It is overwhelmingly recommended at 2-player on Board Game Geek.
Which is, I don't
And
understand that.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't know. Maybe people like 2-player games a lot.
Well,
I guess.
I feel like for that one, it's just like
Judging by how often that question gets fucking asked on our board games,
Yeah.
people
This is
just
good
want to
for
play
2 players.
2-player games.
yeah.
Anyway, Zach, what's your number 2?
So my number 2 is Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition.
Ooh, good one.
I really enjoyed it, and it's definitely my favorite game that has an app, and I feel like it has helped bring app-infused games to another level. Assuming that they are working,
Don't
then
use Android.
Well, I
yeah,
was
don't
gonna
use
say-
Android.
I mean, I wasn't even going to comment on that. I was just going to say XCOM's better.
I don't agree with that, and I feel like this one definitely brought you into the game a lot more, and it brings a great atmosphere, and I just enjoyed the hell out of it the times that I played it.
If I had only played it the first and second plays that I did of it, it would have been my most disappointing.
Right.
But I played it a third and a fourth time, and both of those were actually really good. Megan's been really wanting to play it again, so when she comes back in February, or if she's not back for the anniversary weekend in January, she's back a different weekend.
Okay.
We're going to have to play.
Yeah,
she's
definitely.
been really wanting to play.
And and they have they are going to keep supporting it outside of the expansions,
which
So-
is huge. That's really
because
good.
they just released another scenario, and so
Just uses the base game, I think.
I think it's at the very least the base game, but you can add in all
Yeah.
the things you have.
Yeah.
So
Jeff, what's your number 2?
Star Wars Rebellion.
that was my number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I phenomenally love that game.
5, 6.
No matter how many people own that game, I also want to own that game. I love everything about that game. I'm a big fan of the 2-player asymmetrical competitive, Blood Bowl, etc.
Right.
Like you had mentioned earlier about like recreating scenarios. It's that story that comes out of that game. And then it's also a dudes on a map game.
Yep.
I guess. And
Yep.
then I really love those. And
But some dudes are really weak compared to other dudes.
yes, this is very true. Some are Death Stars, some
Yeah.
aren't.
I still want to try that at 3 players at some point,
Yeah.
where one person is the rebels and 2 people the Empire. So you can, as the rebel, you're just sitting on this side, and the other side, you just see people going, yeah, I bet he's. We're gonna move here. What the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, definitely a 2-player recommended game for
Yeah.
the best
Although,
experience, but that could be
I've
interesting.
had people on.
Yeah, I've heard
in
some people
several different
like the
places
3
say
or
that-
4 player too.
That there's actually it plays pretty well at those player counts. So.
Yeah.
And just add another 2 hours
Yeah.
onto that game.
All right, so
Star Wars
let's
Rebellion. Real good.
recap because we've went a little ways here. So real quick, just what are your number 3s? Jeff,
number 3.
Your number 3.
Feast Road.
Network.
Network. Jeff, number 2.
Star Wars Rebellion.
Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition.
Feast for Odin, which makes it unanimous.
Yeah. Do you want to
one.
just all say it at the same time?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Terraforming Mars.
Yeah.
I had already started to write it when I started making the
Oh yeah.
list.
I fully expected this.
Yeah. Well, the way you were saying, like, oh, Feast for Odin is sort of, I was like, I wonder if he's actually
I
gonna.
came close, but the problem is that Feast for Odin is a game I don't see myself playing very often outside of one player. Like I wish I had a separate room where I could just leave it set up as one player to just whenever I feel like it, not have to spend 10, 20 minutes setting it up and turning it down. But aside from that, I don't think I'm not gonna get it to the table very much, especially not while Megan's out of town. When Megan gets back, I could do it more. I could con Paul into playing, I'm sure.
But yeah, Terraforming Mars is definitely the like La Havre for you, where it's just like, oh, you guys want to stop recording this right now and play it? Yes, I'm in.
Jeff,
So-
did you bring Terraforming Mars tonight?
No, I don't. No, it's not. It's not in my car.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, your house is close, so
It's like 5 minutes.
Yeah, when do you have to work tomorrow?
7 a.m.
Yeah, it's fine. You can get 6 hours of sleep.
why not? My flight to Seattle doesn't leave till 7:30
PM.
p.m.
Yeah, you're.
Who cares
I got
about
all
you?
day.
Yeah.
No.
I have the option of going back to work
it's-
right now.
It's really good, man.
It
Like I
is.
said, I've mentioned this episode and several other times. I have not played since we reviewed it, and that does not change the fact that this is a good game that I want to play. It's great.
Yeah. So if you like interaction in your game, like if you're heavily interactive, you might not like this game because I had someone play recently, David, and he just didn't like it at all. And I was like, I can understand why you were saying that because it still has a lot of those sort of solitaire-esque elements to it. But
The most comes from like denying placement on the board.
yes, but and if you don't feel that that's actual interactiveness, then like direct interactiveness is what you crave. You're probably not going to like that game.
No.
But other than that,
You guys played drafting when you played.
we did.
the game,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But you didn't play Corp era.
No.
And
No.
did you do beginner corpse or
We
mixed?
gave them the option.
And they did not.
Nobody
No.
took beginner corpse.
Or no.
No,
Jenna did.
Jenna did.
Yep.
And she's the one that liked it. So
Yeah.
yeah. It's just, it's like I said, it's just the fact that like he's a lot more of the the thematic or not even the Ameritrash-esque style that it's just not going to work for him. But
I mean,
outside of that,
he loves Blood Bowl and what's the Warhammer one? Gene Stealers and
Space Hulk.
yeah, which I mean are total Ameritrashies.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Well, I'm just saying.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
not surprised he doesn't like Terraform Mars.
Yes.
That is at its heart a Euro.
Yes. Outside, if you're not that, then I feel that people are going to love this game. And for the most part, like it's 24 now on Board Game Geek.
It blows my mind that it's only 24 and Scythe is like 8.
We had mentioned earlier it's
been
tight
harder to get.
availability.
Yes.
But I mean,
I got the like last copy off Amazon.
Yeah.
Like
God, I'm kicking myself. And then Patrick over at What Did You Play had an extra copy. Like I don't.
we didn't even
understand
know
how-
about that at that
I mean,
time.
we didn't, but
Yeah.
I was the one who was like, "Yo, Jeff, there's available copies on Amazon." He was like, "Boom, boom, boom, bought," and I was like, "Sweet, Jeff got it. I
Zach
can
Prime
wait."
it to me.
Yep.
I was like, "I can wait," and now I can't wait.
Can't wait.
I want it.
January, February, there'll be more copies.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I have probably spent as much as I have spent on the base game upgrading the components to that
Yes.
game. I have bought sleeves. I have bought trays. I have bought containers for the components. Mm-hmm. And I am thinking of buying a new insert now.
Jesus.
yeah, new first player marker.
Yep. Yeah, I really, really like that game. And I'm impressed that they have been able to balance it enough. And it might just be like there's so much there.
Yeah.
Because it's all unique.
And my favorite part about it is even though you want to have like long-term strategies, it's the fact that your main objectives are what cards in your hand and the new cards that you draw. So the very tactical nature of my mind works really well with that of, oh, I have these things I want to do if I can. Oh, I got these new things. I should do these instead. This is actually going to help augment it better. So my strategy is always changing. That's what I really love about it. Whereas like Beast Road, like a lot of those other ones, it's usually like, I want to do this. So what steps do I have to do that?
Well, I feel like that is one of its biggest strengths is that, if you go for some games that are full on Ameritrash, thematic, dice chucker, lots of randomness, like you're going to lose all the Euro guys who want to have control. If you go the other way and you go full Euro, just pushing cubes, you're going to lose all the thematic guys who are like, I want to care about why I'm pushing cubes.
Yeah.
And then same thing when you get to guys who prefer tactical versus strategic decisions. If it's all tactical, the strategic guys are like, well, there's no long-term thing. It's just about what I do best in any given moment and vice versa. And I think that one of the things that this game does perfectly is, man, it toes the line between all of those. It meshes thematic elements and mechanics that fit the theme really well. So you have people who are all about the mechanics, like, wow, the mechanics are pretty solid on this. If they're all about the theme, they're like, man, it nails this theme of terraforming a planet. If you care about strategic decisions, you're like, I can plan out what I'm going to do over turns based on my corp. Mm-hmm. If you care about tactical decisions, you're like, oh, I've got these cards. It meshes all of them perfectly.
Yeah.
Or, well, maybe not perfectly, really fucking well. Mm-hmm. That's why I love it.
It's a good game.
Yeah.
So there you go. Mile High Game, guys.
Shocking.
100% unanimously say Terraform
If you were
Mars.
if you're not expecting us to say that, I am.
Then you're one of our new listeners who this is your second or third episode.
A new listener that did not hear us on What Did You Play this week.
That didn't hear us on What Did You Play This Weekend. It wasn't one of the many, many downloads of our Terraforming Mars episode where I think we gushed appropriately about this game.
I was still sort of hesitant because I had one bad corporate era. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That was a good one where, despite the fact that now we all unanimously agree on that game, there was some conflict in the Terraforming Mars one because I was like, bullshit, corp era, drafting, and corporations or nothing. And you're like, I don't know if corp era is necessary.
For me, I'm still happy playing either of them.
Wrong.
I enjoy the corporate era in there, but I don't need it to enjoy it. I enjoy it just as much without it.
Yep.
So I don't think I would, unless I was crunched for time. If time is the limiting factor, I would pass on corp era. Assuming time is not a limiting factor, I would not play this without corp era.
Well, obviously, yes, I agree with that. But usually, like, if it's, I want, like you said, time. If time is a factor, I won't play with corporate era, but I enjoy it just as much. Yeah. So,
and there's a good chance, Jeff, depending on when the reprint goes out, I'm going to need to borrow this so I can play it solo. Because I've really kind of been enjoying solo games, especially like up at the condo, ski nights. I need more solo gaming in my life, and I've heard this is a fantastic solo. Jeff, I also am going to probably need to borrow Scythe. I want to try it against the Automata.
Do you have like a 4x6 board table?
We have the biggest table that I have played board games on yet.
Wow.
Up at the condo. It is fucking fantastic.
I just saw a promo for another Automa deck in case you want to play against two Automas.
Well, oh my god!
Yeah.
Well, no, and I'm trying to remember who it is who does the. So on the What Did You Play This Week podcast, one of their guys, he does Evolving Review, where he covers the same game for several weeks in a row, and he does like how his gameplays evolve. And one of the games he did was Scythe, and he did it like where he was getting other people who played it but didn't play solo, and he was like, "Send me your Automa decks," and he was playing like 1v3 Automa.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they don't fight each other.
No.
Yeah. Jesus.
No. So there's apparently rules to do multiple Automata decks and go fucking nuts.
Terraforming Mars is real good. But you can't.
One of the next things, speaking of solo gaming, there's somebody who has been running for a while, and I haven't participated, but variations for Feast for Odin solo, where like on this game, for like this week, when you do your solo game, you can't use hunting at all. You can't use immigration. You can't use this entire fucking tier of actions. And it's like a Board Game Geek group, and they compare their scores. Like, oh, I was able to get, this score without using this like tier of actions at all. And that sounds pretty interesting to me if I had more time to play Feast for Odin 3 or 4 times solo, but I don't. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps everything up, I think.
That wraps up the year.
2016. It's been a interesting year on so many levels. Not least of yet is starting a podcast and taking a critical look at games and hanging out with you guys way, way more often.
That's true.
At least once a week.
At least.
Twice a week.
Usually twice. Oftentimes 3 or 4.
Because then we're like, oh, we need to play these games.
Christ.
I need to play these more. Why is this game 3 hours?
Yep.
But if a 10-hour fucking road trip from Denver to Indianapolis for Gen Con this year didn't ruin my friendship with you guys, I don't think meeting up with you a couple times a week to talk about.
When you're unconscious for most of it.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that results is a bunch of pictures.
It was a good time.
Yep.
It's been a great year, I gotta say. We didn't start the podcast until June. We were halfway through the year. It's still been a great year. Jeff, I'm really glad that you showed up to game night like 2.5 years ago, year and a half, and that B, you happen to recognize my name when Isaac at Strange was like, "Oh, you're Adrian." You're like, "Hey, Adrian, you're the runner of this game night."
I know that name.
And we played games and hit it off. Zach, I mean, you and I have been there since day fucking one of the Denver game night group.
Pretty much.
So it's been a pleasure, guys.
It has.
We give each other a lot of shit. I disagree with you guys on a lot of things, but
I mean, you're wrong a lot. So yeah.
Hey, it's what I do.
Yeah.
Feels like
someone's got to be wrong. Someone's got to be wrong. And it's glad to see that you're the one that's taken that.
Yeah.
But no, it's been an absolute pleasure.
It has.
I've really enjoyed it. Anybody who's listening, guys, I'm glad you guys listen. We've got a couple for sure fans.
Yes.
Mike, Chris, you guys have been fantastic for sending us regular emails, interacting with us.
Whoever the hater is.
Who still hasn't claimed their fucking board game.
We have raffle games that we're starting to collect for our year anniversary.
We've gotten 2 donations.
Yeah.
One Night Ultimate Revolution and
Codenames.
Were donated for the raffle January 28th. If you're in Denver,
there's going to be one of those games for the raffle.
Yep.
And then
only one.
The other one dropped off.
Well, I wasn't even
truck.
Yeah, fell off the truck. Things fall off the truck. No, but if you're in town, if you're in Denver, weekend of January 28th.
Saturday.
Well, the Saturday of the 28th.
Yep.
Which is the 28th.
What?
January 28th.
You said the weekend
Saturday.
of the 28th.
If you're in town that weekend, then you're there for the 28th. If you're in town on the 28th, fine.
Okay, there you go.
If you're in town Saturday,
like
January
you said, if someone
28th.
could be wrong.
Yeah, it's
glad it's you.
Feel free to come out to our anniversary. If you're there on the 26th, if you're there on the 27th or the 29th, the Friday or the Sunday, then I don't care. I'll come play games with you just to prove these assholes wrong. If you're there that weekend, I'll play games with you.
Or if you're on the 25th, you can just come to regular old game night.
Yes.
Also, yes.
Or any Wednesday.
Any Wednesday. Yeah. If you're in Denver on any Wednesday, you can come play games with us.
Rain, snow, or
Maybe
shine.
not Jeff. He sometimes works on Wednesdays. Not for a while.
No. It's an emergency if I have to work on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And they have to bribe me, usually with some sort of pay.
Anyway, all right.
Sounds like a good time to end.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, thanks for listening, guys. It's been a fantastic 26 episodes.
To 6 more months.
Yeah.
And then cutting it off.
And goddamn, I really hope 2017 is just as fantastic for board gaming as 2016 was, and hopefully better in terms of everything else. Quite literally everything else.
I hope 2017 is as good for board gaming as it was as 2016 was bad for celebrities.
Asmodee will continue to rule the world.
Yep.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to close this off.
Yep, go for it.
Thanks for listening, guys. We've been the Mile High Game Guys. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm still Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And it's been 6 months. Thanks for listening.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Cats and bindles. That's what we were talking about.
Yes, cats and bindles.